Hello? Why are you not letting me go live? Oh, am I live on Instagram? I think I am. Okay. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna back up a little bit. I feel like I'm too close to the camera here. Hey, what's up? Hi guys. I actually cannot believe this is working. Can somebody let me know that we have sound? That you can hear my voice, please. Because I've never done this before, and I'm kind of freaked out. I don't know if it's actually coming through or not. Hello? Hey, Emma. Emma's on here. Emma, do I have sound? This is why I'm going live before. Okay, now. Okay, thank you. Now, can you guys hear my keyboard? Oh. Can you hear my keyboard? That's the important thing. I mean, my voice is kind of important, but I feel like the keyboard's more important. Can hear the keyboard. That's good. All right. Very cool. Let's see. I want to see if this chat is working over here or not. Sorry, guys. This is going to be a little bit sketchy till I figure out how to do this. Okay. All right. We are good to go, I think. I have to find a way to keep this chat open without staring at my face, because that's going to be trippy. I know I'm sounding like a boomer right now. I'm going to get better at this. The more I do this. Come on. I just want to see the comments. I don't want to see my face. Oh. You can't seem to get into Animals as Leaders. To each their own. They're my favorite band. Or one of my favorite bands of all time. They, I think, are incredibly talented and inspirational. I would recommend starting with maybe like a song like "The Future That Awaited Me" or something. That's the song that got me into them. "Another Year" is another really good song by them. That's a little more accessible. Some of their stuff is really inaccessible until you're like a big fan of it. Animals as Leaders, for those of you guys who don't know, is a progressive metal jazz trio. Three of the best musicians in the world, in my opinion. Definitely have the best drummer in the world, Matt Garska. And they have inspired me a lot. Let's see. Okay. I think I'm just going to play a little bit until 3 o'clock. I don't have a dual camera, so I have to like point my camera down at my fingers. Oh my goodness. Like that. And then I gotta move this around. Hold on one second. Okay, I'll just improvise. I'll improvise a little bit. The microphone's in the way. So I have to move it out of the way. Maybe I can, like, put it over here. Yeah, there we go. That kind of blocks it. That kind of blocks it, though, doesn't it? Okay. Hold on. Do I have to move it over here every time? Okay, I'm gonna move the microphone back. It's just a little bit of improvisation until we got to. Oh, it looks like the camera stopped. Did the camera stop? Oh, good. It's on YouTube too. Guys, this is so exciting. Did Instagram just stop out of nowhere? Okay, I just have to keep going, I guess. I'm gonna have to get used to this. All right. Hello, everybody. This is the first of hopefully many Jazz and Jesus live streams. I know it's a cheesy title. I wanted to think of something catchy and in alliteration. And so Jazz and Jesus it is, because I play jazz and I love Jesus. So and I want to talk a little bit about why I want to do these live streams. So first of all, I want to do these live streams because I want a weekly time where I get to interact with you guys live. I think that that is really, really important. And Emma and I can't always do that, the two of us. And so I think it's really great that I get to respond to you guys in real time, get to know you better. Has a double voice effect going on, almost like a chorus pedal. That might be my speaker doing that. Is my voice doing like a weird doubling chorus effect thing? Well, too bad. You're gonna have to deal with it, I guess. It could be that I have to hear myself play. I could use headphones, but I don't really like the way they look, so I'm not really using them right now. I might in the future, though. So anyways, yeah, part of it is that I just want to interact with you guys in more of a live, like real-time way. The other reason that I want to do these live streams is that some of you guys know this, some of you don't, but I used to make Emma and I used to make like longer form YouTube videos that were very edited, and it would be on a specific topic in Christian culture. And it was a podcast too, and it was called Christianity and Culture. Well, basically, I realized that either I was going to be a YouTuber making these very long form videos, or I was going to be a musician, and I did not have time to be both. That's what I kind of discovered. I could either make these long, like Christian culture videos, or we could do music, and I decided I would rather do music because that's where I feel God has gifted me. Emma and I, in the beginning when we started doing those longer form YouTube videos, we had no idea how much work it would take, how much editing it would be, and it was a lot. And we just ran out of time to do more important things to us, like making our own original music, producing our own songs. And so, anyways, all of that to say, we had to stop doing these YouTube videos. And I stopped doing them back in March, April. But I didn't want to stop talking about important things in Christian culture. I wanted to keep doing that. So I thought maybe a live stream would be easier. A live stream would be easier because I don't have to edit it, and neither does Emma. I can just talk to you guys live, and it works that way. Hi, Bagwork J. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. Bagwork J. No sound again? Guys. Okay, there should be sound. I don't know why there wouldn't. My microphone says it's making sound. Anyways. Okay. Whatever. But yes, long story short, we used to make these long form Christian culture videos. And then they were too much work, and I wanted a way to talk about things in Christian culture, but without having to do a ton of editing. There you go. Look at Emma running quality assurance for me. That's Emma's other part-time job when she's not being a Fabulous singer. YouTube comment, what? You're an Animals as Leaders fan too? That's insane. I saw them at Fine Line Music Cafe in Minneapolis. That's really cool that they played at a cafe. I would feel like their music is too heavy for cafes. I've seen them live 4 or 5 times. I think 5. In Phoenix. Every time they come through here, I try to see them live. I stand in the clearest view of Matt Garska, and I just watch him play drums for an hour and a half, and I nerd out. It's really, really fun. Yes, like I said, they're my favorite band, probably. Top 3 favorite bands, for sure. I really love Periphery as well. And Lewis Cole, Knower, that, and Snarky Puppy. Some of these people's music is not appropriate though, so use caution when listening to it, I would say. None of these artists are Christian artists. Animals as Leaders, though, is instrumental, so you can listen to anything by them, and there's no issues there. So, yeah, basically, I wanted to start these live streams to interact with you guys more, to talk about topics in Christian culture without having to edit a big, long video, and to get to play music, because that was the other thing about the YouTube videos is that, I couldn't integrate music into it at all. And that was kind of sad. It's what I wanted to do. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Sam Carter and I, Sam Carter from YouTube, we have the same music taste, I guess. He said, I've literally just got into Knower in the last year, and I met Misha Mansour in person, and he signed my guitar. Yeah, I've met Misha also. I've met the entire band. I got a drum lesson from Matt Halpern, who is a really, really cool guy. That's the drummer of Periphery. And I got to meet the whole band, and I've seen Periphery not as many times as I've seen Animals as Leaders, but I've seen them 3 times, 4 times, a lot, as well. And so, yeah, Nowhere is really cool. But you just have to be careful with some other songs are not very appropriate. So, but yeah, their chords. Lewis Cole is a genius. His chords are amazing. His chord progressions are amazing. And so, as far as what I have planned to talk about today, I kind of wanted to introduce the live stream, the concept of it, talk about why I'm doing it. I think I did that. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the story that I posted, I think on Monday, about Brandon Lake. So to summarize that whole deal, Brandon Lake, most of you guys probably know, is a famous worship leader, singer-songwriter person. And I believe he's written his own stuff too. And he was on this podcast, and he kind of went off on this rant, I guess. It was nice for a rant, but he went off on this discussion about how he thinks worship music in the church is too complicated for people who are not Christian. That worship music in the church is too theologically complex for people who are not Christians, and that we should kind of dumb down the worship music, so to speak. The example that he used of a complicated theological worship song is Holy, Holy, Holy. That's just funny to me, because Holy, Holy, Holy to me is not a particularly complicated hymn. To be fair, I've been a Christian most of my life, so I want to be sympathetic to the fact that yes, if you're coming into a church completely new, even a song like Holy, Holy, Holy might be completely new to you, and I want to be respectful of that. I just think that there are more complicated hymns that he could have used as an example, but his contention was basically that hymns are too complicated for your average congregation, that you should be catering, and he used the example of a guy named Bubba. And Bubba is a new Christian, and it's his first time coming into church, and you should pick songs as a worship team that cater to Bubba. Okay, so that was kind of his point, right? And I responded to that, and I want to respond to that in even more detail here. And so I said that I disagree, and I want to expand on that. By and large, this is a really controversial opinion. I do not think that your church service is primarily designed for unbelievers. Should be primarily designed for unbelievers. I think we should evangelize to unbelievers. As Christians, as believers, we should evangelize unbelievers. Obviously, that's the Great Commission. I am all for that. But as far as your actual church service, what you bring people to, that should primarily be for the believers in your congregation, not for non-Christians. Now, if non-Christians have questions, they should feel free to ask those questions, and we should be kind and gracious in answering them, and excited that we get to talk to non-Christians about Jesus and the gospel. So I am not saying that non-Christians should not ask questions, but I am saying that as churches, as worship teams, as pastors, we should not be primarily designing our services for the non-believer. The gathering of a church is for a believer, in my opinion. Why? Because if you first of all, if you're worshiping God, I do think that the songs need to be God-centric for the most part. Doesn't mean that it can't mention humans or man or anything like that, but we should be picking worship songs that give glory to God, that give praise to God. Worship isn't supposed to be relatable to you. It's supposed to bring you out of yourself, and help you connect with the divine. Okay? And so sometimes those types of songs are going to have theological concepts, and that's okay. That's totally fine. And if the non-Christian is confused, here are some ideas. Okay, you could, as a church, have little cards that explain some common theological terms that you keep in the back of the chairs. Like, you could do that. You could keep cards for a non-Christian to pull out, when there's kind of like connect cards, or where you could have a card like that explains all of these theological terms. You could have a person who is available after the service to talk to non-Christians specifically. I think that would be really great, to have a volunteer who is gifted in evangelism who could talk to non-Christians. But I don't agree with choosing songs that are intentionally kind of dumbed down theologically to cater to non-Christians. I think, in my opinion, the church has done way too much to cater to the world, to non-Christians. Non-Christians need to come into a church and see that the church is different than something that they could get anywhere else. Okay? If the church isn't different than anything that they could get anywhere else, why would they go? Why would they stay? Right? If they're coming to church and they're getting a concert, but less good than a concert they would pay for, less good than a concert of their favorite band, why would they continue to go? So in my opinion, the reason that, and I think this is just biblical, like, the reason why we gather for church isn't just community, and it isn't just to kind of make people happy and comfortable. Like, it's not about that. It's about people joining together, worshiping their Savior, the risen Lord, in tandem all together. And so, in my opinion, instead of less education in a church service where we kind of dumb things down again, I think there should be more education. Like, maybe the other thing is, if you're doing a song like Holy, 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 and you're worried about non-Christians not understanding it, maybe explain it as the worship leader from the pulpit. So again, I want to summarize. I'm talking about Brandon Lake and what he was saying about how maybe we shouldn't have theologically complex worship songs. But the example that he used was Holy, 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 which I guess it says Blessed Trinity. You could explain what the Trinity is. But in my opinion, again, if you cater too much to non-Christians in the songs that you pick and in the messages that you share from the pulpit, if you cater too much to non-Christians, you're not feeding your church. You're not feeding your flock. You are pandering too much to non-believers, when non-believers honestly need to be shown something different. Like, they do. So that's my thought process on that. That's why I don't agree. I also just think that there's this sentence that I've heard called the bigotry of low expectations, right? And it's like, I don't want Christians to think that non-Christians are stupid, or that non-Christians can't look up something on their phone, or that non-Christians can't go up and ask the pastor about something. Because that's what you're saying, essentially. It's like, well, we can't have anything even remotely, theological or complicated for a non-Christian. When isn't that kind of your whole job, is to teach them about that stuff anyways? And like, if you don't, can't they even still look it up? They may choose not to, but that's their prerogative. Or again, have a card there for them or whatever. But I don't believe in catering the songs or the sermon material to non-Christians specifically. So that's my point on that. It isn't to insult non-Christians, but again, the church is not, like, the church as a service is not the primary evangelism tool. Now, non-Christians can come to Christ as a byproduct of that, but the main evangelism tool, the main evangelism model is going out, Christians going out to where non-Christians are and preaching the gospel. Again, if non-Christians are saved as a byproduct of church, that is awesome. That's great. I am just simply saying that the church is primarily for believers. It's not to pander to non-Christians, okay? We've had the rise of this seeker-friendly Christianity in America, and I don't think that's done great for Christianity. I think there are less Christians in America than there ever have been before. We see the decline, and I think part of the reason we see the decline is that people aren't given a reason to stay. Again, they go to church and they get, kind of a mediocre concert, and maybe kind of like a TED Talk. And again, this is not every church. There are some great churches out there, but and then they leave. They may take communion, they probably won't. And so yeah, I mean, it's no wonder Christianity is declining. It's like, why even partake in something like that? Like, what's the point? Especially, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. Especially with the rise of like church from home. Church from home when we had COVID, and, a lot of churches started live streaming. I'm fine with churches live streaming. Obviously, if you can't make it to church, I think that that's useful, but like, you really should be going and being in community with believers. Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox. That's my thing about that. Marlo says, hello from Mexico. Hello. Where in Mexico? I've been to Ensenada, I've been to Rocky Point, and I've been to Cozumel. And I've been to Costa Rica. That's not Mexico, though. Where in Mexico are you from? All right. Seeing if there's anything else that I missed. I can't see TikTok comments at all. I don't think. I can only see YouTube comments. Okay. Says it is to show our gratitude to God. Yeah, I mean, that is worship. I mean, it is ultimately gratitude towards God, right? That's what it should be. That's what the worship service should be. Sam Carter says, right, it needs to be focused on participation in Christ. In other words, rather than the old mediocre concert and TED Talk. And by the way, I can't take credit for the concert TED Talk thing. I actually think maybe Redeemed Zoomer was the first person to talk about that. I don't know. But that's kind of a common trope. And again, not all non-denominational churches are like that. I want to clarify that, but a lot of the big mega churches, unfortunately, are. Okay, I am going to move the microphone out of the way again, and I'm going to play some more. And I might play some of our original music, just kind of instrumental. And I'll see if I can get up like a piano sound too, instead of electric keys. Oh, here we go. We still good? All right. I'm going to move the microphone out of the way. And I'm going to start playing. All right. Bye. Come on. So, I'll get it pointed back up at my face here. That was, the first song was Calling, which is an original of ours. And I played that instrumental. I think that's the first time I've ever played that instrumental, but I kind of like it. And then the second song was obviously Amazing Grace, a jazzy version of Amazing Grace. Hey, bud, I'm going to have to block you on YouTube because you're spamming this chat. And I don't want that. Sorry, you cannot advertise your glove business on my live stream. You have to do that somewhere else. All right. So anyways, yeah. Oh. Look at Emma. Emma's so cute. She's just like chiming in on my live stream. See, isn't this fun, Emma? You get to be with your best friend even when you're not working here. Emma works here with me 3 days a week. It's very, very fun. When we're not on the verge of killing each other. No. I know. Dang, I wanted some gloves. Yeah, I know. I saw him like advertising his gloves while I was playing piano, and I was like, yeah, I gotta put a stop to this. But yeah, Emma and I work 3 days a week together. And today is not one of the days that we work together, which is why I'm here by myself. But Emma's in the chat, so anyways, don't go bother her. That's just, please. She would prefer to remain, anonymous, I guess. Calling, is it on Spotify? Yes, Calling is on Spotify. We released it, when did we release it? Like 2 months ago? It is on Spotify, and I personally think that it is better on the recording than when I play it by itself. So, Jesus, it makes me sad to know you're married. Married. I am married. That's very flattering. Thank you. Yeah, I've been married for a little over 8 years. 8 years. That's crazy. I got married right out of college, which was not really the plan. I always thought I would get married quite a bit older, quite a bit later. Maybe at some point I will tell you guys the story of my husband and I, how we met and how we got together. But I will not tell that today, because Emma's probably really sick of it. So, but yes, I am married. Thank you though. Anyways, I think I am good. I have played, I have rambled, and that's what this whole thing is talking to you guys, playing and rambling. That's the whole point. So, anyways, I did a lot of that. A lot of playing, a lot of answering you guys, a lot of rambling. Oh, I got a question. Do you think the music scene of Christian music could use the complexity and dexterity of jazz and gospel? Absolutely. That's what we do. That's the whole point of Zoetic. That's, if you haven't heard our original music, I would really highly recommend you go check that out. I think Christian music deserves everything. I think everything that is popular, and not just popular, any style of music, period, that is found in secular music, I think should be found in Christian music as well. Because Christian music, this gets into a whole nother discussion that I'm not planning on having today, but like the definition of Christian music. But to me, Christian music is just music that is made with a religious intention, lyrics that are glorify and honor Christ. It's not necessarily worship music. Worship music, like I said, is music particularly written to God. So all worship music should be Christian music, but not all Christian music is worship music. At some point I will explain that. But anyways, so Christian music, though, it should be in every genre. It should be in country. And I don't even like country music, guys. I don't even like it. But Christian music there should be like Christian music that is country. There should be Christian rap music, and I know that there is, by the way. The Christian jazz and gospel, Christian pop, there's a ton of Christian pop already, but Christian metal, there used to be a huge Christian metal, keep hitting my own face into the microphone. There used to be a huge Christian metal scene, Christian rock scene, Completely agree. A friend of mine introduced me to you guys and started listening recently. I'm a jazz musician too. Keep doing what y'all are doing. Thank you so much. It's really cool to hear when people introduce us to other people word of mouth. Welcome to the page, and really glad that you're here. The Whim Makes Music says, what's your favorite harmonic trick? Ooh, that's a fun question. Without getting, it's going to be nerdy, no matter what I say, probably. I would say, man, okay, I really like modal mixture. So, K-pop gospel would be really interesting, but you know what? I'm for it. Modal mixture, so that would be like, if I'm, it's kind of hard to explain. It's like combining chords that are not supposed to be minor chords or not supposed to be major chords in certain keys. So for instance, if I'm in the key of E flat, you want me to go to a C minor here, right? But what if I go to a C major, right? That's a modal mixture, because C major is not in the key of E flat normally. And you can just kind of go off of that. I love modal mixture. I use that all the time. I'm really a fan of, like, if I'm in a key, trying to figure out what this chord would be called, but like if I'm in the key of E, doing like a flat 7th chord. So basically, if I'm in the key of E, like the chord I want to do is like a C over D. That was the chord progression I used for calling. I don't know what that chord would be in context of E. Right? It's a flat 7. You could say it's like a flat 7 chord in the context of E, but with like, you wouldn't have to say it's a C over D. You could say it's a D11. A D11. So that chord in the context of the key of E. Or if I'm in the key of C, that would be a B flat 11. I really like that type of movement. I think that's also modal mixture. I don't know the exact theoretical term. I love tritone substitutions. I love secondary dominance. I use all over the place. Thinking of other ones. Backdoor 2-5-1s. So, right. Yeah. Backdoor 2-5-1s. Love those. So all that real nerdy stuff. Says you play the piano really well. That chord progression sounds amazing. Thank you so much. All right. Who's the best keyboard player to study in your opinion? I don't. That's kind of hard. I mean, I don't really study like keyboard players anymore as much as, I mean, you know, I love jazz guys, you know, Bill Evans, Brad Meldau, people like that. But I really like, one of my favorite keyboardists who's more modern is Domi. I think she's brilliant. I think she's absolutely brilliant. I already mentioned Lewis Cole. Lewis Cole is actually primarily a drummer, but I just love his sense of harmony. Of course, there's the obligatory Jacob Collier. Jacob Collier changed the way that I think of harmony entirely. Because he didn't tell me, I don't know him personally, but he said in one of his interviews that any note can go with any chord. So like, how could D and E flat go together? Well, an E flat major 7. You know, how could E flat and B go together? Right? So Jacob Collier's way of looking at harmony is brilliant, I think. What do you think could have the I don't think Jacob Collier is over. Well, okay, well, I got to respond to this. So it says Jacob Collier is overrated. I mean, look, I mean, I don't love his voice as a singer. I think he kind of sounds like an old man. And I don't love a lot of his songs either. To say he's overrated, though, he's pretty dang brilliant. Like, he can play pretty much every instrument. His knowledge of harmony is out of this world. You can't knock him for his talent at all. I mean, I would not say he's overrated. Like I said, I don't love his voice, so there's plenty of criticism where criticism is due. But I'm definitely not going to say that he is a bad musician. I'm not going to even say he's an overrated musician. When you think about how many musicians are worse than him, that are more popular, you can call them overrated, but I disagree. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's extremely talented. Just a wonderful understanding of music theory and harmony, the way his brain works. And seems like a super nice guy too, from what I can tell in his interviews. So, he's not one of my favorite artists, but I will defend him on that, for sure. What do you think could have the theology of current worship music as far as actual scripture and doctrine are concerned? What do you think could have the theology of current worship music? I'm not sure if as far as actual scripture and doctrine are concerned, I'm not sure if I totally get the question. Could have what music do I think could have the theology of current worship music? I mean, if you want deeply theological worship music, you need to look at hymns. There's going to be some more modern worship music that would have good theology, good-ish theology, as good of theology as you could have in a song, like Sovereign Grace music. I think some of their stuff is pretty sound. I actually don't agree with them ton theologically because they are more Calvinist than I am. Take what you will there. But I think a lot of their stuff is really good and really solid. I mean, it depends on the song too. Like some even like Hillsong songs are pretty theologically solid. I'm not going to go say that every Hillsong song is like heretical. I don't think that's the case. I think some are worse than others, but do you think trendy worship music has good theology in terms of scripture and doctrine? I would say on the whole, no. But I do think there are exceptions, and I think you have to take it as a case-by-case basis. Look at the theology of each song and judge it from there. But I would say as a whole, I mean, I think that's definitely gone downhill as we've moved further and further away from hymns for the most part. So yeah. All right, I do have to go, and I am going to go, but I'm glad you guys have been able to hear me both talk and play. That's really, really important. Thank you guys so much for joining, and this is going to be a weekly thing, hopefully, unless I'm, like, not in town or something. Okay, there's one more question, I'll answer it. What would be good advice for someone wanting to start their own small band on social media? I think I get stuck on analysis paralysis and end up not doing anything. Okay, so the tough part, I mean, okay, my biggest advice for you, and this is terrible, would just be to post reels and post TikToks and to learn to run ads through social media to your Spotify. that would be my most practical advice. But there's two things for that. First of all, you have to be really good. You have to be really good as a musician to get any sort of traction because there is so many musicians out there. There is too much supply and not enough demand. There's 60,000 songs uploaded every day to Spotify. I would also say just like know your niche and really go for it. Like we make Christian jazz pop music. Like that's what we do. I don't try to appeal outside of that niche. And so on and so forth. But yeah, you have to be really good. You have to have other people validate that you are good. Not just friends and family, strangers. unfortunately. And that's just how it is, unfortunately, because there's so many artists out there. But if you are really good, make really interesting, compelling social media content in the form of reels. Now I'm doing live streaming, stories. Unfortunately, you kind of have to play the game. I wish that we didn't. I wish I could just sit in my house and write music all day and millions of people could hear it and I wouldn't have to do any promotion for it. But that is not how the cookie crumbles, my friend. Unfortunately, you do have to, do the whole social media game, TikToks, Reels, live streams, learning how to use Spotify. Spotify's hard. Again, you can drive traffic there. Obviously, submit to editorial playlists, but that's just a total crapshoot. Pardon my French. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Good luck. Best of luck. For us, when we started, reels weren't even a thing. When I started Zoetic like 6 years ago. Reels weren't even really that much of a thing. We were posting covers and I was commenting like crazy on other people's stuff. I don't know if that tactic would work that well nowadays. But just engaging with my community the best that I could and offering music that's really unique. And, I've always felt like we've done that. So anyways, yes, that's it. Finally done.